Across some of the wealthiest cities in Europe, citizens are jumping off bridges into dirty, off-limits urban canals just to find a few minutes of relief from the heat. The ground itself is failing. Local governments are deploying winter snow salt trucks to spray water on highway asphalt buckling under the sun. To prevent heat stroke, people are crowding around historic public water features and pressing themselves against ancient stone architecture, seeking out any surface that hasn't yet absorbed the day's thermal energy. This is a continent defined by its wealth and high development, yet its modern cities are finding themselves completely defenseless against a summer sun they were never designed to handle. The physical breakdown is visible everywhere. Thermal expansion is bending iron train tracks, and in France, nuclear reactors are being throttled because the river water meant to cool them has become too hot to function. With residential air conditioning almost non-existent, people are coating windows in white chalk powder to reflect light, or seeking refuge in the air-conditioned showrooms of IKEA, sleeping on display furniture just to survive the afternoon. The power grids in France and Italy are buckling under the sudden, desperate spike in AC usage, leaving shopping centers and thousands of homes in total darkness. European infrastructure was engineered specifically to trap heat and withstand extreme cold. In the face of these new temperatures, those same design choices are effectively turning modern apartments into ovens. This crisis is driven by a heat dome, a high-pressure system over the continent. It traps hot air rising from Africa, pushing it downward. While natural, the baseline global temperature has risen so much that standard summer weather is now artificially intensified. This elevated baseline makes standard weather patterns 3 to 4 times more dangerous than they were a century ago. The heat dome is a climate change-fueled anomaly sitting on top of an artificially elevated baseline. To find the source of that elevated baseline, we have to look at cumulative emissions. Carbon dioxide remains trapped in the atmosphere for hundreds of years, meaning the pollution of the past is still active today. This chart shows the total global carbon emissions since 1751. Europe alone is responsible for roughly 25% of that historical total, a larger share than the entire African continent and Latin America combined. This dominance began with the Industrial Revolution. By inventing the coal-fired steam engine, Europe created the economic model that would eventually define the modern world. These early factories established a blueprint of mass consumption and fossil fuel reliance that the rest of the globe would adopt as the standard for progress. During the colonial era, European expansion further accelerated this by clear-cutting massive natural carbon sinks, the forests of Asia, Africa, and the Americas, to fuel growing industries. The invisible carbon pumped out by European empires centuries ago has returned as the physical heat dome cooking them today. Europe is only one part of a failing global system. In Antarctica, the Thwaites Glacier, a massive ice the size of Britain, is reaching a breaking point. Warm ocean currents are carving hollows beneath the ice. If this glacier fractures, it could trigger a 2-foot global sea level rise, threatening to submerge coastal cities from London to Mumbai. In the Amazon, deforestation and warming are causing the rainforest to dry out, compromising its ability to absorb carbon and regulate the planet's oxygen levels. These record temperatures in Europe are a localized symptom of these massive planetary regulators breaking down simultaneously. The lack of water is now crippling Europe's economic arteries. The Rhine and Po rivers have dropped so low that commercial shipping has ground to a halt. In Italy, the Po River has become so dry that salty ocean water is flowing 30 kilometers backward into the riverbed, poisoning the soil and destroying crops. These dry riverbeds are revealing hunger stones, centuries-old rocks carved by ancestors during past famines. One carries a stark warning: if you see me, weep. If the advanced nations that pioneer the modern world can no longer outbuild the consequences of their own history, it suggests that the limits of physical infrastructure and modern adaptation have been reached.